So you've reached some success in sales and you've kind of accomplished some of the goals that you had, yet you still have a boss. You still are in a situation where you don't really have the real freedom of time that you'd ultimately like. And maybe you're not making the amount of money that you'd really like to make and have a truly unlimited potential to scale something up. That's where we need to take our existing sales skills and start a business, because a business is ultimately going to allow you as an entrepreneur to have an unlimited income potential rather than something that is limited by the fact that we have a job and that we're getting a commission that is about 10 to 20% of what we're actually selling. What if you were able to make 70% of what you're selling and then the rest is going towards expenses, but you have full control? That's what starting a business is all about. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use your sales skills to start a successful business. Check it out. Number one, recognize your number one asset. And as a salesperson, your best asset is your ability to sell. I can tell you, I work with entrepreneurs all the time. And one of the biggest holes that they have in their entrepreneurial skill set is the ability to sell. Because when you become an entrepreneur, you immediately become a salesperson. I don't care if you worked at Goldman Sachs as a top investment banker. If you go out on your own and you start a business, you are a salesperson. And so we need to, as salespeople, recognize that our number one asset is that we already know how to sell. And that's really getting you so much further along. It doesn't mean that you have a fully complete skill set yet, but it does mean that you have one of the absolute key assets that you can have as an entrepreneur, which is the ability to sell yourself, the ability to sell your offering, and the ability to sell your business. Number two, find an offering that prospects want. So this is one of the biggest things that I think salespeople really struggle with, because many of us have this idea that if we have the skill set to sell, we can sell anything. And that may be true to some degree, but the reality is that there are certain things that sell much more easily than others. And so what you want to do is, in figuring out what your business is going to be, you really want to find an offering that prospects actually want. I've seen so many entrepreneurs struggle to get momentum with their business simply because they're selling something that their ideal customer doesn't really want. They may need it, or it may be a good thing to have, but if your prospects don't want it, it's not going to be easy to sell. It's going to be really hard to sell for that business. So as you're thinking through what you could really be selling as a part of your offering for your business, think of what is it the thing that your prospects are really going to want, is going to be something that they really need, that's really kind of important to them or to their business. Number three, sell to prospects with money. Now, this may sound obvious, but it's actually not. I see so many business owners and entrepreneurs who are trying to essentially squeeze water from a rock when it comes to sales. They're constantly saying, yeah, my prospects never have the money to be able to buy. And it's like, sometimes that can be an excuse, but sometimes it's just that, you know what, you're selling to people that are broke. So identify an ideal customer that has money. And so that could be people that have an upper class income, or maybe it's selling to companies that are already somewhat successful. So like, I'll give you some examples. Let's say your business is selling to consumers. Let's say it's real estate, just as a random example. It's so much easier to sell luxury condos to people with money than it is to sell shacks to people that don't have money. It's always going to be easier to sell upmarket. And on the B2B side, it's always going to be easier to sell to successful, established companies than it is going to be sell to like the broke solopreneurs who are just getting their feet off the ground. So sell to prospects with money. Number four, leverage automation to maximize your time. So as an entrepreneur, one of the advantages that we have as salespeople is that we typically are able to leverage automation to do certain outreach. So, having email, LinkedIn, automation, text message automation to get those appointments is going to really scale our ability to get more leads and opportunities. So use the automation that you can in order to maximize every second that you have, because you don't want to be spending 100% of your time on sales, particularly on business development. You want to have all of the tools at your back to really maximize that opportunity. Number 5, don't quit the day job until you've got proof of concept. So this is a mistake that I see a lot of salespeople and entrepreneurs making, is they go out, start their business, and they immediately quit their day job before they've got a real proof of concept with their business. For 99.9% of people, that is a real challenge, because if you don't have a true proof of concept in what you're doing, it's going to be really risky to just leave that safe job and salary that you have. So don't quit your day job until you've really proven that you've been able to get clients, you've been able to get some results. And then once you have that proof of concept, now we can talk about moving on. Number 6, replace the salary on the side. So this is kind of building off the last point. Again, what I don't want you to do is give yourself 6 months of savings, and at the end of those 6 months, if you are not fully successful, then you have to go and find a job. Like, that is a recipe for disaster. So what you want to do is kind of build the business on the side while you are growing, and then replace that salary on the side. And once you've replaced your salary, now you can go full-time into the business, and then it's like gasoline on a fire. But until you have that, you want to kind of like take your time a little bit, because you may fumble around a little bit trying different markets, different offerings. So replace the salary on the side. Number 7, once you're free, now it's time to scale. So once you're able to leave the job, now it's time to just scale things to the moon, right? And so having that proof of concept in place, you've now replaced your salary. Now it's time to scale like crazy. Get aggressive, because I find that businesses that aren't focused on scale and really growing are eventually going to be shrinking. So once you've got that process in place, now it's time to scale very aggressively, because you're full-time, you can go all in, and assuming that you've kind of leveraged your automation, you've got the right product market fit, you've got all those pieces in place, now it's time to scale up aggressively. So there is how to use your sales skills to start a successful business. And if you enjoyed this video, then I have an amazing free training on how I leveraged my sales and prospecting skills to launch a low startup cost business from scratch and got to $31,000 in monthly recurring revenues in just 5 months. Click here to get registered instantly. Seriously, just click right here if you're serious about starting a business. Also, if you got some value, please like this video below on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe to my channel by clicking my face, which should be right about here, to get access to a new video just like this one each week.